Today's topic, the business plan. The business plan is essentially the entrepreneur's recipe for success. It's a document that sets out the basic idea or ideas underlying a business and the related startup considerations. It identifies the nature and context of the business opportunity. It presents the entrepreneur's approach to exploiting the opportunity. It identifies factors critical to the venture's success. And probably most importantly, it is a tool for raising capital or generating funding. The function of the business plan is primarily internal. Like I said, it's your recipe, so to speak, for success. And it provides a clearly articulated statement of goals and strategies that are going to be used for your internal use. The plan is also a selling document that is shared with certain outsiders. Business plans provide a credible overview for prospective customers, suppliers, and investors. Business plans generally are used to help secure favorable credit terms, and business plans are used to secure funding from lenders and other potential investors. Typically, if you want to apply for a small business loan, the first thing the banker is going to ask you for is to see a copy of your business plan. How much business planning is needed? Well, the answer to that is it depends. There's generally two types of business plans. There's a summary plan, which is much shorter and more concise, and then there is a comprehensive plan that really explores all potential aspects of the business. You may have noticed, but the culminating project for this class is a business plan, and the type of business plan that you'll be doing is a comprehensive plan. Realistically, though, there are a lot of other factors that affect plan development. First of all, the cost in time and money that is needed to prepare the plan. Your specific management style and ability. If you're a big picture person, generally it can be tougher to drill down specific ideas. The complexity of the business. If a business happens to be fairly complex, it can be pretty difficult to nail down some of those ideas or explore some of those ideas in a plan without getting into the business, so to speak. The competitive environment and level of uncertainty. If the environment is highly competitive, you can find out a lot of information in the planning process. If there is a lot of level of uncertainty in the business environment, then it may be more difficult. So it really depends on what the context and the environment look like as well. I've already said it twice, but it doesn't hurt to say it a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth time, that the primary purpose of the plan is to attract investors. So in that sense, your business plan is a marketing tool. And so you have to understand the investor's perspective. Typically, entrepreneurs tend to be optimists. They are glass half full kind of people, so to speak. And investors are skeptics. And so investors are always looking to poke holes, and they're looking for what we call the fatal flaw, the one thing that's going to make your business not successful. Investors tend to focus on when they're going to get their money back, so they focus on break even and positive cash flow. We'll discuss those terms as we go through the course. Investors typically have a short attention span, so they want you to get to the point quickly. And investors look for accurate information, and they look for a well-researched and thoroughly vetted plan. Plans that are attractive to investors are plans that are brief and not extremely long in written length. Again, investors have short attention spans. They want to see a plan that has an attractive overall appearance. It needs to look good. The plan needs to be well organized. It needs to, for example, have a table of contents and numbered pages. It needs to look well organized. The plan needs to be market oriented in meeting customer needs rather than product oriented. And what I mean by that is an investor is going to like a plan that shows that there is a customer need rather than an infatuation with a great product. And investors like plans that demonstrate customer acceptance of the proposed product or service. Investors also like plans that recognize their need for required rates of return on investment. They like plans that demonstrate evidence of focus on a limited number of products or services. And they want you to be able to justify your market position. If you're the first in the market, if you are moving late into a market, they want you to be able to express why that's a good thing. Plans that are unattractive to investors are plans that, first of all, show an infatuation with a product or service that doesn't demonstrate that there is a clear need for your product or service, or that customers are going to want it. Investors don't like plans that are based on financial projections that are at odds with accepted industry norms or even common sense. Typically, investors tend to specialize. So someone who invests in restaurants, for example, is going to know the restaurant business pretty well. And so they generally know what the typical time to profitability is. They generally know what the typical profit margin is. And so if you're saying that you're going to have, 400% markup on your food and you're going to make money in 2 months' time, an investor is going to look at that with an investor is going to look at that and know that it's out of norm, and they're going to question the rest of your plan. And investors finally don't like plans that are just simply unrealistic. The typical business plan, I like to say, has 4 mini plans inside a larger comprehensive document. And so it kind of, by pulling the individual pieces apart, it makes it a much more palatable project. And so there are 4 specialized plans. There is the marketing plan, which communicates the benefits of the product or service that you're trying to sell. There is the management plan, which describes the organizational structure and the background of the key players. There is the operations plan, which offers information about how the product is produced or the service is provided. It includes information about facilities, your labor needs, raw materials, processing requirements, things like that. And finally, there's the financial plan, which provides an account of your financial needs and sources of financing and a projection of revenues, costs, and profits in something called pro forma financial statements. Pro forma simply means forecasted, projected. Some things that you need to make sure that you do in a business plan. You need to be sure to do some research. You need to provide a potential investor with solid data that is grounded in research. You also need to be able to describe the product in lay terms as your customer would describe your product. You also need to acknowledge that the investor is not necessarily an expert in your specific industry jargon. You need to provide complete financial information. You need to address the weaknesses of your business. Every business opportunity has weaknesses, and you can't just cover those up. You need to tackle those head on and explain how you are going to mitigate those weaknesses. You need to make sure that the document you create is both spell checked and grammar checked. And you need to make sure that you are concise. One of the biggest mistakes people make in business, in developing business plans, is that they simply make the overall plan too long and they include operational details in something that is a strategy document. And so operational details, and we'll talk about this later on, but operational details really are details that belong in something like an operations manual. Your business plan is really about your strategy. it's important to keep in mind that just because you have a good plan, it doesn't always equate to business success. There are lots of factors in the industry and the overall environment that can affect your ability to succeed. Planning is great, but it's really about turning that plan into action and being able to address what's going on in the industry environment. You should enjoy the process and try to remember this as you're slogging through your business plans. The process is just as important as, if not more important than, the finished product. And the business plan represents what you anticipate. And it's important to remember that a good entrepreneur adapts the plan to fit the unexpected.